Friends, we are going to discuss an issue that has literally plagued our country for the last 200 years. Caption shows caste matters. Actually, you have explanations in Indian Express and Hindu about the explained kind of thing. But this new Indian Express, sister concern of Express, we call it Morning Standard. For the first time, it contains a complete explanation for any issue. And caption is Caste Matters. Actually, it's title of a book by Yingde, controversial to an extent, supported by a large number of people, but some people have objected to the title itself because it's mainly relating to the atrocities on the list. So Caste Matters does not suit it. But this article, it talks about the census or the OBC survey which is going on in Bihar. We had surveys, we had censuses right from the last century, rather last towards the end. And criteria have been changing, statistics have been changing. The first census that talked about caste in a way, it was 1901 by Risley. He was hell-bent on proving the differences amongst us. And he even tried to create castes on the basis of, and you study that Risley's classification, 1915. He tried to explain the existence of different races in India on the basis of nasal index. That was the funniest thing he could have done. And he enforced on caste also. And British were also hell-bent on. But before that, let me tell you, I have already talked about caste, varna and jati in one of the videos. You can go and see that. And another one is religion, dharma and Hinduism. So they said caste is integral part of our social system, which is totally false. Because the word originated from Portuguese and Latin, first used by the Spanish in the 16th century, used by the British in India for the first time in 1667, plus minus 1-2 years, for the people of the western coast of India. So it is an alien thing. But we are talking about whether that census has to be there and what are the benefits and what are not. So we had the last census, they say it was 1931 census. For the first time, this article, it tells us, and that is authentic, of course, I have told in a video, that last census was 1941. But the details were not revealed because Second World War was ongoing. So the details were not revealed. But the survey had been undertaken. But after that, we did talk about the caste censuses. The issue of OBCs gained momentum after Mandal Commission report. You know that SCs have 15% reservations and STs 7.5%. Mandal Commission, it surveyed, and then it concluded that because we don't have any census, we don't have any survey of caste after 1931, and in 1931, 52% OBCs were there. So he said that I should recommend 52% reservation for OBCs. But because Supreme Court has put a lid up to 50%, 22.5 already goes to SC ST, so therefore I recommend 27%. And that is how the reservation came into being. Though Mrs. Gandhi didn't agree, VP Singh did it, and I have told you the background of 7th of November. It was a political compulsion for him. It was his political survival, you can say. But ever since, the number of OBCs, it was something like about 2200. Now it is more than 4200. It is politics. OBC means other backward classes. And matter had gone to Supreme Court. Because this reservation, it is based on caste, not on class. But the Supreme Court was convinced that it is not only the caste that has been taken into consideration, it is religions also. But when you say class, It has to be based on economic criteria. Now, if you talk about OBCs in the 1931 census, what was the criteria? If you have a pakka room, you are a forward. If you wear chappals or shoes, you are a forward. If you have a metallic chulha or something like that, you are a forward. If you have a source of drinking water in your house, you are a forward. If you are educated, you have a book in your house, you are a forward. That is the way this division was made. But that was not valid in 1980s. At that time, there were 9 CMs who were OBCs, and today's PM also, EBC. Of all the seats in IITs and management institutes, about 22%, 18 to 22%, these were cornered by OBCs even without reservation. So whether they remained OBCs or not, that was the issue. Mandal wanted to have the survey of the previous OBCs, but Mrs. Gandhi didn't give any extension. How these OBCs were declared in 1931, that is also questionable. It was forced on the people because there was no caste in India. And majority of the people, they objected to the caste that was assigned to them. But British imposed on us, and that is clear from the statement of Middleton, who was superintendent of 1921 census. He said that we criticize Indians for something, we criticize most the Indians for something we have imposed on them, that is caste. So that was alien, but over generations it has become a permanent feature. The attempt had been to split Indian society in n number of ways. Firstly by the British, I have explained in my book, The Truth About Caste. And then even after independence also, you created OBCs, then you created MBCs, and at places reservation for minorities. N number of fisi-paris tendencies, you can say, are there, breaking India. But coming to this issue of OBCs, this article, it has explained why the caste census is being demanded. Because the indicators of backwardness, these are highlighted particularly in the rural settings. And also because when you say 52% OBCs were there at that time, another survey is there that says 36%. If you take an average, about 42% should be the reservation or population of OBCs. So they are demanding that constitution be amended so that accordingly proportionate reservation can be there. Like Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia said, जिसकी जितनी संख्या भारी उसकी उतनी हिस्सेदारी. Your role, your status, your whatever you deserve or not should depend on the proportion of the numbers that you have. So we are following the same policy that way. Like EBC reservation, I think it should be declared unconstitutional. Let Supreme Court decide. That is my view, because it doesn't fulfill the criteria for reservation. So they want this survey. In that case, the SCs also must have increased by 2 to 3%. OBCs definitely increased, because I told you in 1980s their number was hardly about 2200. Now it is doubled. Politically, whoever wanted at the time of reservation declared, Yadavs and not Yadavs, Marathas and Jats, they were asked whether they are interested in putting in the category of OBC, and they literally rebuked, "हम backward नहीं है." And now they are the people who are demanding it most. So that was a political issue, because in our social system there is nothing like called as other backward classes. In our social system, whether it is Varna or Jati, OBC category is not there. So that was a political stunt created by Mrs. Gandhi, resulted by VP Singh, and then followed by everyone. So, if it is undertaken now, the Article 340 of the Constitution authorizes the appointment of a commission to investigate the conditions of SCBCs and the difficulties under which they labor. The commission is assigned to make recommendations for the union or any state necessary for the removal of such difficulties and to improve the condition of the socially and economically backward classes. So that is why they are demanding that we should have a survey to find out whether the condition has improved or it has not, and they demand a separate survey. I told you in 1931 how it was done. Now be sure, when we had this 2011 census, there were certain indicators on that basis you could have decided backwardness or forwardness in economic terms. Same as you have Paka house. Do you have water pipeline in your house? Do you have toilet system in your house? Do you have any graduate in your house? Do you have any motor conveyance in your house? N number of criteria were there on the basis of which you could easily decide backwardness and forwardness. But the governments were not interested in economic criteria. They are hell bent on caste basis, and caste is the most divisive thing which British did to us, and still politics is continuing with that. You can see the social media, the Dalit movement that was there, it has been hijacked by neo-Buddhists, and they are totally anti-Hindu. You have social media for minorities, the way they speak. You do have ex-Muslim channels who can say they are the saviors of Hinduism because they tell us what is wrong with their religion, why they left it. We people, we do not know about religion, about our caste also. But they tell us what that is, and through that you develop interest in knowing your caste and religion. Now this caste census, it is gaining momentum, firstly in Bihar, but it was in Karnataka before that, in 2015. The details have not been revealed to anybody. So even if you do it and details are not to be revealed, this is meaningless. But if the details are revealed, that is going to create uncertain conditions throughout the country. This is all a political issue. And if you are against caste, your constitution also says we should try to create a casteless society, then obviously you should look for reservation based on class. Class means typically class. I have one video on reservations. Must reservations go. And I had told the way also how can do it. For equal development of all the categories in terms of health, education, employment, and then ending the reservation. Everybody should be made competent so that they can fight on equal terms. Swami Vivekananda said, we are always talking about top to bottom. Let us end the bottom, let us bring the bottom people higher. Let us make all of the people Brahmins. So that there should not be anything wrong, there should not be anything about atrocities. I mean, whatever atrocities were there, I have already told my series of history. Whatever atrocities were committed in Rome or in Europe, even in the West Asia, all of them have been attributed to India's past as well. That was never the case. But OBC reservation, if this census comes out, first thing is it the reason our central government is not coming up with the 2021 census? They delayed it because COVID was there. But now who is stopping them? And they are not even thinking about it. Even when they announce it, it will take about 1 year to carry out the survey. More you delay the census, in the last 1 decade or so, about 1.5 crore people who are born, they are deprived of the facilities which they would have got otherwise, either being poor or being from the rural category or being from Dalit and SC and ST categories. Oh, 155 crore people, and the more you delay, more negativity it is bound to spread. So I wish that census starts, and on the basis of economy, if reservations have to be there, and presently I don't think the time has come when you should forego the reservations. But how it should be implemented, we have already realized that these reservations, they have not done much good at the community level. At individual level, definitely many people have benefited. That means our model of reservations, it is faulty. So we have to think about it. We have to bring a new model. And the only model I can think about is class. Any questions? Want to add anything? That is here. But when you say, first thing is whether the basic structure of constitution, it is being ignored or not. You already have 120 plus amendments, there can be one more. The issue is whether it is going to benefit the masses or not. If it does, let it be. In Indira Gandhi case, only they put that category, that split, but then that 10% EBC, then of course you have that Tamil Nadu, 69% that was there, it was put in the 9th schedule. But it is there still. So the time has come, we must accept that the model of reservation we followed, it is not working well. So we have to think for alternatives. And what I thought about, I have already told you.
But sir, like the people who make government, they mostly make on the basis of caste. If we shift from caste to class, it will be chaos in whole country. Like,
Why?
The people who
See, if you are making on the basis of economy, poverty, 80 to 90% of the SCs and STs, they would be covered in the reservation. It is only the elite amongst them who will be out. So let them be.
Sir, but these elites are in the top official.
Yeah, that is there. They are the spokespersons. That is the problem. But government can tackle. Yes, sir.
सर बट अगर क्लास पे शिफ्ट करते हैं तो एलीट वाले तो फिर भी ले ही सकते हैं मैं पर्सनली आपको 5 लोगों को ईडब्ल्यूएस एंड एलिट क्लास होता है उसका
Sir, if you have transparency and accountability, everything can be taken care of.
Is there any way that this can be done that the government does not lose its own vote as well as this is implemented?
Government is not going to lose votes. I told you 80% of the people will be supporting. That way, SC, ST, OBC, those who are weaker, really genuinely people, I told you 80%, I don't talk about OBCs, the percentage may be lesser, but in SC, ST, 80% or more are there. And otherwise also you just tell me, you are feeding more than 80 crore people free of cost. Why? If they are not poor. You are giving 6,000 rupees to 10 crore farmers. Why? 10 crore farmers means 10 crore families. If average family size actually 4.23 is there in farmers, it may be 5. So 10 crore means 50 crore. 80 crore is that. What is the total? 130 crore. Rest are the people who are taxpayers. You need somebody at the top who can sacrifice his political career for the sake of country. Have we achieved that objective? Will we achieve that objective if we continue for another 100 years? I told you, if it is not working, we should look for alternatives. And you watch that video of mine, must reservation go. You will find out.
Sir, but still, like, if in a places like in a community places, if a person is rich, but he is from SC, ST, then also he can face that thing, no? Like he's from SC, ST and he's not getting that reservation.
For SCs, some issues may be there because the kind of injustice they have faced, because of the atrocities. You know, we had in Delhi a mayor who was an SC. He would never have his lunch with his colleagues, with his subordinates who were from higher caste. So that feeling is there and that feeling has to be removed. So that way upper caste also must change their mindset. And of course, that the feeling of isolation that is developing in the lower caste, that also has to be addressed. You watch that video and you will find out, and if something else is there, we can discuss.
So, why don't we introduce creamy layer to SC and ST?
That will automatically become creamy layer, sir. I am telling you, if you introduce the economic criteria, class criteria, creamy layer itself will be excluded, all types of, and not only that, the poorer amongst the higher caste, they will also benefit. So poverty should be the criterion and not the caste. Done? Thank you.